Finger picking the guitar is tough. It sounds amazing, right? But it takes a whole lot of practice and exercises to get your picking hand to do its job. Your thumb is really pesky. It doesn't want to cooperate. And then these fingers want to kind of move together. Well, we're going to cover an exercise today that will help you build some independence among your picking fingers. So let's get into the exercise. We're going to walk up chromatically, just meaning one fret at a time, from the first fret, second, third, fourth, and then we're going to shift up with your pinky finger to the fifth fret and then come back down. Then shift up with the index finger and repeat this pattern. Now, definitely don't try to do any crazy stretches. There's a lot of this one fret for each finger that's taught, that's out there, but it's absolutely fine. In fact, it may be more comfortable for you to keep your fingers closer together in a tight group like this and kind of move your whole hand rather than doing this. I know that if I do that and I do these uncomfortable stretches, I can feel tension in my arm and in my wrist. You can stay away from that and you can shift your hand like this. And I like to go to right here, the 13th fret, before reversing this and moving back down the fretboard. And repeat the same thing with your thumb picking on the fifth string. Keep in mind, you don't have to do it that fast, and in fact, it pays to go slowly here. This will help develop good timing, among other things, and again, great as a warm-up. Then you can do the same thing with your thumb picking on the fourth string, but let's skip ahead because I want to use my index finger to pluck the third string notes. So I'm going to keep all of my other fingers on the string but not moving. You want to resist the temptation to kind of use this motion where these fingers move off of the fretboard, or off of the strings rather, as well. So you want to just pluck with the index finger. And reverse it. And if you're new to this, if the index finger is not cooperating, you might get really fatigued during that. And if you start to feel burning and stuff like that, just stop. Just go a few frets at a time until you can build up the muscle in the finger and build up the stamina that it requires to go all the way up and then all the way back down. And again, pay close attention to keeping the other fingers immobile. You don't want to move, and just keep them on the string, okay? That's going to be difficult as you move through this. But then we're going to move on to the second string and pluck that with just the middle finger on your picking hand. And we're going to work up the same way. Then we can do this and continue all the way through the frets before we move back down. Until you get back down to the open string. And then, you guessed it, we're going to move on to the first string and we're going to pluck that with just the ring finger on the picking hand. All the way up and then back down as well. Until you get back down to the open string. Again, make sure that you're not moving any other finger. We don't want these other fingers to lift and move with it. You're going to have a tendency, if you're new, most folks have a tendency to use these fingers to move together. So that's the first step really, is to get the thumb independent of these things, because we want to do this all the time. But now what we're trying to do is break these 3 fingers free from each other. So have a go with this exercise and really use it as a warm-up. It's a great warm-up and it can really start building the independence among your fingers. Before we move on, I want to let you know about a guide that I've got for you. It's got some exercises that really target the thumb as well as the ones that we covered here today to really help develop your sense of coordination and finger independence when you're learning how to finger pick. You can pick that up by clicking on the link in the description. I really hope you take me up on that. It's kind of a well-rounded group of exercises that are great for warm-ups, and it's really great to dig in and get your chops up with finger picking. So head over there, grab that. Now let's get back to the lesson. The next exercise that I'm going to show you here helps to build some independence among the thumb and each of the picking fingers. This is a good one, and you can do it by just fretting up a chord. We're going to start with this big E major chord, and it really helps to have a good steady pulse and to have that developed already. And if you're not quite there, I've got some exercises and things that you can do to help build that thumb, that strong thumb presence in your picking. But let's move on, and what we're going to do is have the thumb hit the bass. In this case, the 6th string open. I'm going to play with a palm mute to make this sound kind of cool. And we're going to hit the 6th string, and then with the index finger, which is dedicated to this 3rd string, we're going to pick that on the offbeat. So 1 and back to the bass for 2, and then this time the and of 2 is the 2nd string open, and then back to the bass, and then on the and of 3 we're going to hit the open 1st string. Then we're going to come back down like this. So we've got bass and then a treble note. Bass, treble, bass, treble, bass, treble. All right, so I wanted to pop in as I'm editing this video. I wanted to say that these things might seem simple. Both of these exercises are really pretty basic, but these are the fundamental type movements that you need to be a really solid finger picker. So don't skim over them just because you think it's too easy or maybe it's boring even. You got to do this stuff. Spend some time in the shed with this and you'll be surprised at how fast you start to develop some separation in your fingers and even that independence among the thumb and fingers. So don't skip this stuff. All right, and then also we're going to take this exercise a little bit further in the PDF download. We're going to run it through a little bit of a progression just to add something a little more musical to it. So be sure to pick that up. Links in the description. And now back to the lesson. So there you go. 2 solid finger picking exercises to help you build some separation and independence among your picking fingers. The first one, the chromatic, really good for a warm-up. And make sure to pay attention to your technique and don't try to overstretch when you're working through that chromatic exercise. And then also keep this thing going and it will really start to build the thumb and develop its ability to keep the beat and how to pick with some separation among your picking hand fingers. I hope you dig this lesson. If you did, give me a thumbs up and consider hitting that subscribe button. I've got another cool lesson coming out next Tuesday, so be sure to come on back then. We'll dive right into it. And until then, play on.